Hello, my name is Ben Lovegrove, and in this video I'm going to talk about the NHS, or more to the point, how money poured into the NHS is wasted. I'm going to list 21 ways in which money is lost, stolen or wasted. Before I begin, let me disclose that I've never worked for the NHS and there's no one in my immediate circle of friends and family who is employed by the NHS. The only time I've had any kind of working relationship with the NHS was when I was employed by the local county council as a network technician in the 1990s, when I would be sent to some of the local hospitals and medical centres to install or troubleshoot network terminals. Like most other people, my view of this organisation is coloured by the media, both mainstream and social. Consequently, if you notice any errors or inaccuracies in what follows because you have access to reliable information, feel free to post a comment below with references to your sources. I will gladly accept any corrections if they are backed up by evidence. In the UK, we are very proud of the NHS, and this pride was boosted immensely by the way it responded to the coronavirus pandemic. We will never forget those who worked long, hard and stressful shifts on the front line, risking their own health, and those who died as a result. But first, let's summarise what we're talking about. The NHS is the largest employer in the UK and the fifth largest employer in the world, with around 1.5 million employees. It has an annual budget of about £140 billion, paid for using general taxation and national insurance payments. Hence our NHS. British taxpayers fund it. All the more reason then why we want it to be as fit and as efficient as possible. It takes the second biggest slice of the taxpayers' pie after pensions. Defence spending, for example, is a third of that of healthcare. So it's a huge organisation that is complicated and expensive to administer. The NHS is comprised of the Department of Health, NHS England, clinical commissioning groups and NHS Foundation trusts, of which there are 145. So when you hear anyone talking about the NHS, it's worth bearing all this in mind, because hardly a day goes by without one politician or another banging the NHS drum. And it's also worth remembering these statistics when the logistical problem of supplying enough PPE comes into question. The political ping-pong often revolves around the NHS's budget and how there should be more of it. But if your bucket is leaking, surely the most important thing to do is to fix the leaks. If you keep pouring water in, all you'll do is lose even more water through the leaks at greater pressure. In July of 2016, the Jeremy Vine show on BBC Radio 2 covered the anniversary of the death of Aneurin Bevan, the founder of the National Health Service. I've tried to find a recording of this show without success, so if you can find it, please post a link in the comments below. During the programme, Jeremy Vine interviewed Anira Thomas, the first baby born in an NHS hospital. She was born on the 5th of July 1948 at Aman Valley Hospital, Carmarthenshire, and named after Aneurin Bevan. She, her three sisters and her daughter had all spent years working in the NHS in a variety of roles. As you can imagine, she is a champion for the National Health Service and is very proud of her connection to it. However, when Jeremy Vine asked her what was the single biggest cause of waste in the NHS, she gave a surprising answer. As I recall, she didn't use the opportunity to knock the Tories or blame Conservative policies. Instead, she seemed to draw attention to the waste within middle management. I found this interesting because during the preceding weeks I had seen numerous stories in the press about the amount of waste in the NHS. It began to look as if the NHS is like a huge bucket with so many holes in it that every time the budget is increased, a lot of it escapes through the holes. Here then is a list of 21 ways in which the NHS budget is wasted through inefficiency, fraud or theft. 1. Consultants paid thousands for weekend work. NHS paying locums up to £4,000 for a day's work. The Times, February 2017. 2. Agency nurses paid excessive daily rates. 3. The protectionism of middle managers who take a salary but contribute little of value. NHS hospital bosses given pay rises worth more than a nurse's annual salary. The Daily Telegraph, January 2016. 4. Paying fortunes for drugs that should cost a fraction of the cost. Providing paracetamol to patients in England cost the NHS over £70 million last year, official figures show. The Independent, July 2017. 5. Outright and deliberate fraud. Fraud costs the NHS £1.27 billion per year according to the NHS Counter Fraud Authority's own figures. 6. Health tourism. Accounts for £1.8 billion alone. See fullfact.org. 7. Failed IT projects. 8. Overtreatment and overdiagnosis. 9. Contracted management consultants who give no value for money. 10. Perks, expenses and bonuses paid to staff well in excess of their productivity. 11. Theft from hospitals and other medical centres. 12. Self-inflicted conditions and associated illnesses, for example obesity and illnesses it causes like diabetes, or drinking to oblivion, not including alcoholism. 13. Six-figure golden handshakes for departing executives and consultants. 14. The 1990 Courts and Legal Services Act, Section 28, which creates an annual legal bill of £1.5 billion, save Britain from blood-sucking lawyers who squeeze £440 million out of the NHS every year. Peter Hitchens, The Daily Mail, January 2017. 15. Bills for private finance NHS hospitals under the Private Finance Initiative, PFI. All but one of these deals was signed for under the Labour government between 1997 and 2010. 16. Loss of equipment lent to patients that is not collected or returned. 17. Money sent abroad to fund anti-smoking projects in other countries. 18. Missed appointments by time wasters. Patients missing their appointments cost the NHS £1 billion last year. The Guardian, 2nd of January 2018. 19. Failure by NHS to claim reimbursements from the EU for EU citizens treated in the UK, while paying £670 million for the treatment of UK citizens abroad. NHS scandal as UK pays millions to EU. Sky News, March 2016. 20. Questionable job roles that soak up annual salaries. What value does a diversity officer on twice the salary of a nurse provide to an overstretched NHS hospital trust? And 21. Millions of pounds spent on art and the facilities in which to display it. Can you think of any others? What's your response to this list? Post a comment below and please share this video with anyone you know who works for the NHS so that they have an opportunity to add their views. Thanks for watching, but don't go yet as I have an important request. Please consider doing one or more of the following. If you'd like me to create a video for you to promote your products or services, go to redspan.com and use the contact form or just leave a comment below. Do the same if the sound of my voice is a fit for your voiceover needs. If you'd like to sponsor more videos like this, go to patreon.com/redspan. Your donation, however small, will help me to improve both the quality and the quantity of my videos. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with others. If you have any opinions, questions or feedback, please post a comment. Finally, subscribe to my channel and click the bell to be notified of new similar videos. Thank you for your kind attention.